Welcome back to my channel. I'm Zay, and today I'm going to be sharing the books that I read in May. So I'm so sorry this video is up late. This video was filmed and ready to go, but I was watching it back and someone was cutting the grass the last time I was filming this, and you could hear it and it was so loud, and I didn't realize how loud it was until I listened to it. So I have to refilm it. I'm really annoyed. We're going to get through these books fairly quickly today. You'll see some of these in some recommendations videos soon, so I'm not going to spend too much time on them. But I read 15 books in May, and it was a pretty good month. I had a really great reading month. I only had like a couple books, only just one book that was like a 3-star read. Everything else was like 4 to 5 stars, and I don't think I had any 6-star reads. I can't really remember at this moment off the top of my head if I had any 6-star reads, but it was a great month. Lots of audiobooks. I had some ARCs that I read. It was a good month, and I'm excited to talk about these with you all. So first I'm going to start with Strung Along by Hannah Cohen. So this is my first book that I've read by Hannah Cohen, and I enjoyed it. It was fine. I gave it 3 stars. This is a small town, western kind of romance, and our hero is a country musician, music artist. So this book was, like I said, it was fine. I found the writing to be fine. I don't know what else to say about it. It just kind of lacked any spark to the writing or the book. It was just like a basic small town romance, and it was fine. It was readable. I listened to it on audio, and it was pretty good. So this book is about a girl who finds out that her boyfriend is cheating on her birthday. A tale as old as time, right, in these books. And she decides she's going to move to a small town just to kind of get away and have a fresh start. And she sends a text message to the wrong number. And that's our hero. He is a huge country music artist. And she doesn't know who he is at the time. They do meet in person, and things don't go too well in person. But our hero is back in his small town for a little bit, very welcomed back into the town, especially by his grandfather. They just kind of think he's a sellout, and they don't understand why he would leave his family and the ranch and everything. But him and our heroine are talking through text message, and they are also in person, and they don't know who the other person is, and that they've been texting and talking to one another. That's kind of the setup for the story. If you just want like a cute small town romance, and this book does connect to one of her recent series if you're a fan of Hannah Cohen. But the book did come on audio, so that's why I gave it a chance. I'm not jumping at the seams to read another book by her right now, to be honest. I don't really know if I like her writing style, but I would be willing to give her another chance. There's just so many authors that I would like to prioritize before reading another book by her for sure. Next book I read is Skies Over Caledonia by Samantha Young. This is a marriage of convenience, small town. It takes place in the Scottish Highlands. This is an age gap round, and has a little bit of romantic suspense in here. So this is the 4th book in this series. I read the first book, which actually does connect to this one. So it's kind of cool that I read the first one that connects with this one, but you can absolutely read this as a standalone. In fact, I think it'd be a good place to just kind of see what you think of her writing, because it is her most recent book, and I do think it kind of represents her writing fairly well. I've read a handful of her books, and I've enjoyed them. So this one was a great addition to the series, and it was a pretty good book. So in this book, we're following Allegra. Her sister has recently moved to the Scottish Highlands. Her sister's book is the 2nd book in the series, and she has been visiting her sister, staying in Scotland. She loves Scotland, but she has kind of outstayed her welcome, and when she leaves, she might not be able to come back. And so she's like, I don't want to take that chance. And our hero, Jared, has a situation going on where he needs some money to keep his farm going. And so our heroine, Allegra, she proposes an idea to Jared that they could get married, and she can get her visa, and he can get some money because her family is rich, and she can help him out with the ranch, and they can both get what they need. They can go their separate ways. But of course, they fall in love in the process. Now our heroine has had a little crush on Jared, but again, there's an age gap. He has been too old for her, and he's kind of in disbelief about all of this, but she definitely does like him. And this was a sweet romance. There's a lot of like my wife moments by Samantha Young's heroes. I think they're really great heroes who just love and protect the heroines, and our heroines are very strong, and I enjoy that about her books. And I just really like this series because I love reading about all of the scenery, and it was just really beautiful. And the audiobook is fantastic. The male narrator is Shane East, and he does such a phenomenal job with different types of accents, and his Scottish accent is wonderful. So this is one I would absolutely recommend if you love Marriage of Convenience, Forced Proximity. This is a good one, and I gave this one 4 stars. 2 thrillers this month, and they were both pretty good, and I would absolutely recommend both of them. So the first one I read is Darling Girls by Sally Hepworth. This was a really good one. This is not a thriller that's gonna like keep having all these twists. It's not super twisty. I would maybe just say this is more of a suspenseful read. It does have a nice twist that I wasn't expecting, and I thought it was very well done. I really like Sally Hepworth's writing. I couldn't put this down. I really enjoyed it, and I absolutely want to dive more into her backlist because I think that her books are just kind of unique, and she touches on mental health and women's trauma, and this book was no different. So in this book, we're following 3 women. Now, when they were younger, they were all foster children, and they stayed with a woman named Mrs. Fairchild. And on the outside, this was like a beautiful home, and it just looked like they had a really beautiful kind of upbringing with Miss Fairchild. She was just this sweet lady who took in these 3 girls, but there was a lot that happened in that home, and those 3 young girls really had to stick together and survive, and they were able to get out of the home. And it's several years later, and all of the women are all grown up, close. They're basically sisters. Out that there was a body that was found under Mrs. Fairchild's home, and they are called in to come and kind of having to relive some of the things that happened to them. There's a lot of lies and secrets and just a lot of mystery pertaining to who is the body under the home and what happened in that house that made these young girls have to leave. And so I really enjoyed this book. Like I said, it was unputdownable. I really liked the way that Sally Hepworth touched on 2 things on the foster care system. This does take place in Australia, but I think this is relevant anywhere you go. People who are foster children having to relive and experience even more trauma in their foster homes is just absolutely heartbreaking. And then also how these women all coped with their traumas differently. And we really get to dive into their backstories, how they got there to Mrs. Fairchild's home and afterwards, and where they are now, and how those moments that happen before Miss Fairchild and during their stay with Miss Fairchild, how that affected them into how they got to where they are today. I thought was very well done, very interesting, intriguing, and I really enjoyed this a lot, and I would absolutely recommend it. Again, this is not a super twisty thriller, but it was very suspenseful and very well written. Okay, so next I read Everyone is Watching by Heather Gudenkoff. I believe is how you say this. Now, I read this through audio, and this is a really good audiobook. I would absolutely recommend it because we get some different point of views, and I just really enjoyed the audiobook experience of this one. I would recommend this one to people who like reality TV shows. And so this is a book about a group of people opportunity to be in a new reality TV show game. I mean, it will win millions of dollars. And this show is very different. It's very new, and it's different in the sense that this doesn't come on or air at a certain day and time. It can air at any time and place. So people have to be vigilant and just keeping their eyes open through social media and things about when a new episode airs. And this is a new reality show, so anything goes. I don't really know the rules. And so we're following a few different POVs. And during the games, a lot of these people start suspecting that there's something else that's going on. They all kind of have a connection to each other. And they're all like, what exactly is going on? It seems like something more sinister is going on rather than just in a game. And so I really enjoyed this as a fellow reality TV show lover. This was really fun. It gave me like Big Brother vibes, absolutely Big Brother vibes. I highly recommend this one. It was fun. The twist was, to me, I could see it a mile away, but it was still enjoyable, just an easy breezy read. I listened to this in one day and I enjoyed myself. I thought it was creative, fun, and I highly recommend it. Drunk on You by Nikki Ash. So this is the first book in her newest series, 11 Whiskey novel. This is also a marriage of convenience kind of, we'll call this is more like a fake engagement romance. office romance. This was so fun. Honestly, this just had all the fun vibes. And this is the kind of book that I would absolutely recommend to read around this time of year. So this is following our heroine, Anastasia. Anastasia is a marketing specialist, and she finds out that her dad is going to be selling the family business, and she's very upset about this. He doesn't intend on her taking over the company. He mistakes when it comes to Anastasia and her mom, and she has a very complicated relationship with her dad due to what happened to her mom and how he treated her mom and how he treated her. And he really is trying to turn things around. He really wants the business to be more family oriented. And he doesn't think that his daughter is the right fit for the way that he's trying to lead the company into. And he really wants someone to take over the company that's family oriented. So Anastasia comes up with a plan. She's going to move back home. This takes place in Texas, I believe. And she is going to pretend that she is with someone and it's very serious, and that she's engaged, and she's hoping that she can convince her dad that she is the right fit for the company, to lead the company and to become the CEO of the company. Well, the person that her and Julian decide they're going to be fake engaged to each other. Now, what Anastasia does not know is that Julian works for her dad's company, and he's been working there for a long time, and he has his eyes set on taking over the company, and he also knows the direction that her dad wants to take the company, basically vying for the same job. And so this book was so much fun. They had some moments of like, you know, trying to like get the other person, make the other person look bad so that their chances of becoming CEO was decreasing. This was just a lot of fun, lots of shenanigans, but they have a really great connection and really great chemistry. This just made for a really fun read, and I would absolutely recommend this one. I gave this book a solid 4-star read, and I am invested in some of the other characters, some of the side characters in this series. So the next 2 books will be coming out soon, and I am excited and cannot wait to read them. And I'm really thankful because Nikki Ash sent me this book, and I cannot wait to dive into the other books in the series. The next book I read was The Paradise Problem by Christina Lauren. So I have not read a Christina Lauren book in a really long time, and I'm happy to say that I thoroughly enjoyed myself. This was so fun. This gave me the Unhoneymooners vibes, and I just had the best time reading this. I absolutely recommend it for your next beach or vacation trip. This is the perfect book to read. It just has all of the perfect summery vibes, and so far this is probably the most summery type of book that I've read, and I really enjoyed it. It just really set the mood and got me ready for summer. So this is another marriage of convenience romance that is definitely a pattern going on here, right? About Anna and West. So years ago, Anna and West a fake marriage so that they can both afford housing. They were in, I believe they were getting their master's degree, and they just fake married so they could be able to have a place, an apartment that was affordable. They were roommates. They didn't really see each other. They didn't really talk to one another. And after those years were up, they got a divorce. Well, Anna thought they got a divorce. Now, it's years later. Anna is struggling. Her life is basically falling apart. She just lost her job. She's a struggling artist. Things are just not going well for her. And her ex-husband, who she thought was her ex-husband, Wes, shows up. They're actually still married, and Anna does not realize this. On top of this, West has been lying to his family, telling them that they are still married, and he really needs Anna to pretend to be his wife. His sister is getting married, going out of the country, and he really needs her to be there. Now, he is trying to get his inheritance, and so if they can kind of keep up this facade that they're married, he'll be able to get it, and he just really needs her to help him out. So she decides, they make a deal. They're going to get a divorce at a certain time, and she's going to get some money out of it. So they make a good deal. It benefits both of them. And things change once they get there, because Wes has a very complicated relationship with his family. There's a lot of interesting family dynamics that's going on here. Anna has some things that she's going through, and Anna and Wes really get to connect and see each other, spend some time together, and they really just start to kind of explore that this could possibly be more. But like, how can this work? They just come from different worlds, and they just don't know. So this was such a fun book. Like I said, all the vacation vibes were there. I had such a great time with this one. I just think wedding romances are also super summery. So this was a great one. It was funny, it was sweet, but it had a little bit of heart and depth to the characters and the romance. and I thoroughly enjoyed myself. The next book I read that was also kind of summery and perfect for this time of year is Baby Moon or Bust by Ava Hunter. So this book came out last year. I really wanted to read it last year, but I didn't get around to it. This is also a surprise pregnancy book, which last year wasn't my vibe, but this year is. Like, I've never read so many pregnancy books, and now I love them. I don't know what's happening to me. We love it. It's called Growth. But this just came out on audio, and it was fantastic, and I highly recommend the audio if you can get your hands on it. I listened to this through Hoopla. This book, we're following Tessie and Solomon. These two meet up in Nashville. They decide to have a one-night stand. They don't tell each other their names, anything about the other person, and they just have this one night, and they're going to go their separate way. Well, that doesn't go as planned because Tessie gets pregnant. 6 months later, she's on her baby moon, and Solomon finds out who she is and finds out that she's pregnant, does the math, and finds out he has a baby on the way. So he actually meets her in Mexico, and over the next few days, he's like, look, if you can just give me some time to try to convince you that I'm really in this, I want to be a dad, I want to be a part of our child's life, we can just try to figure this out together. They decide to do that over the next few days. And these two have a connection, and they have something that's really special and something that they want to explore, but their lives don't kind of match with one another, and they just don't really know how this can kind of work out, but they just have this pull. There's just something towards them. They have amazing chemistry. I must say, Baby Moon or Bust definitely is kind of insta-lovey, but we really get to see the characters spend a lot of time together, and you really get to see them together. Also, you get to see them like in each other's lives because Tessie ends up spending some time with Solomon where he lives, and so I just really enjoyed how much time we got to see them spend together. And Solomon was just such a sweet man, and he had to deal with so many crappy family members and friends. It made me so mad for Tessie, but I really love how much he was crazy about her. Like, you do not mess with Tessie. And Tessie just fell over hills for Solomon because he's just like this big, burly man with so much heart. He's just such a little golden retriever, cinnamon roll. He's just so amazing, and I really love these two. I had such a great time. This is like a fun book, but I also got pretty emotional at times, and I just loved reading about these two falling in love, and their journey was really beautiful and fun, and it was hard and it was challenging, and it was just a really beautiful romance that I think is completely underrated. And so again, this is a perfect book for like a beachy vacation read, but also it's just a book that I would highly recommend. Next, we have A Photo Finish by Elsie Silver. I actually own this book. I own the first edition covers, but this book is what I wanted Hopeless to be, y'all. I did not really like Hopeless, unfortunately, and this book is what I was wanting Hopeless to be, but it's okay. But I love this book. This has like made it into one of my top favorites by Elsie Silver. I just thought it was absolutely incredible. It just had all of the classic things that I love about Elsie Silver's writing: amazing tension and banter, and it was steamy, but it was sweet, it was savory. It was just such a good book, and I highly recommend it. Small town, second chance romance. It takes place in her Gold Rush Ranch series. Violet and Cole in this book. So Violet and Cole, actually, this book is kind of second chance-ish, because Violet and Cole know each other. They used to talk online for a little bit. They talked for like maybe a year or so online, and these two definitely had like some fun online, but basically Violet just kind of disappeared on Cole, and he was, you know, absolutely heartbroken by this. And time goes by and he sees her, and they're both just shocked that this person that they've talked to online is right there in person. Now they're in each other's actual everyday lives. Violet recently became the new jockey at Gold Rush Ranch, and by the way, this is Violet Easton, so this book is what connects us to the series that we all know and love. I love the little connection to the Chestnut Spring series, with Violet being their sister. But anyway, she's a new jockey at Gold Rush Ranch that Cole and his family works at. So Cole is back in town. He's moved back to town, and they are kind of hoping they can kind of stay away from each other and not have to be around each other so much. But things won't go as planned because unfortunately Violet gets injured, and she needs to stay somewhere that's kind of like one story where she has access to a bathroom, bedroom that are all on one floor, and Cole's place is the only place that's available on the ranch like that. So she ends up staying with Cole, and Cole is like a grumpy, broody man. He just wants to be by himself. He wants to be completely secluded. He is ex-military. He's gone through a lot. He has a lot of trauma and PTSD. And there's just a lot of things, that's internal things that are going on with Cole. Not able to kind of be closed off from her as she's staying in his house. And he really has to deal with his feelings, and he has to come to terms with Violet and everything. And I loved this book. Okay, this book was absolutely beautiful. It has something in here that I really wasn't expecting. I don't want to say, because it was just a part of the story, and it's a part of Cole's journey. And my heart just went out to Cole, and when he was finally able to open up and let Violet in, it was really, really beautiful. I just loved their love. The tension was absolutely amazing. I just thought everything about this was such a fantastic book. This was so emotional. I really wasn't expecting it to be so emotional. And it is, and it was just such a beautifully done book that I recommend. I'm loving the Gold Rush Ranch series so far, and I am just such a fan of Elsie's writing. She really is just so talented at what she does. And A Photo Finish is a book by Elsie that you absolutely need to read if you love the Chestnut Spring series. Moving on to a new series that I'm starting, and I'm not going to talk about this too much. You guys will be getting some more information about this from me soon, but I read The Lies We Still by Monty J. This is the first book in their Hollow Boys series. This series is one I've seen all over TikTok, Instagram. First person I heard talk about it that made me want to talk about it is Baron from the book Baron. This is a dark romance series, college new adult series, and basically this follows the Hollow Boys. They live in Ponderosa Springs. This is like a rich small town, and they're kind of the stain on this town. They are the bad rich boys. Their families are kind of some of the founding families, and they're all rich, and they run the town. Everyone is afraid of them. Everyone tries to stay away from them. These boys have all just gone through so much. They're all haunted. They have a past, and they stick together. There's amazing found family in this book. And basically in this book, our heroine, she's not from Ponderosa Springs. She ends up going to the college that everyone goes to. Anyway, she ends up seeing something that she should not see, and our hero, Alistair, decides that he's going to on tormenting her and making sure that she keeps her mouth shut, and also just mess around with her because he wants to. This was really good. This had so much depth to the characters and our boys. I love the Hollow Boys. I'm so in love with them, and the heroine was so tough. She was really strong. She gave it right back to him. I really enjoyed this. I love the writing. I love the town. I'm just so intrigued by this story. And there's also something else going on in the background. This has like a murder mystery kind of element to the story as well. This is dark. Check your triggers for this, absolutely. But I enjoyed this, and I highly recommend this series. The first 4 books are all out on audio. The last book is not out yet, but this is absolutely fantastic on audio as well. But I gave this one 4 stars. Very, very high 4-star, and a very great book in the series. Next, we're getting into some of my favorite books that I read this month. With Players by Brittany Cherry. So this is Brittany Cherry's newest book, and I absolutely love this book, y'all. This is a small town sports romance, baseball romance, second chance. This was so good, so emotional. I wasn't expecting it to be so emotional, and this really does hit you in your feels. This has some great mental health reps, specifically depression, and there's talks of suicide. This is a heavy book, so definitely just want to throw out those triggers for you guys. But basically we're following Avery. She's the head of the physical education department, and Avery is a huge fan of baseball. She loves baseball. She's been the assistant coach for several years now, and the head coach is going to be stepping down, so she's very excited. This is her chance to finally be the assistant coach. Things are just going really well for her. She's getting married, and she just has some good things going on in her life. She is struggling though internally. Sometimes she can't even get out of bed, and so Avery has a lot of things internally going on, but she has some things that she's looking forward to. Okay, so our hero Nathan comes into the picture, and Nathan is a former baseball player. Finds out that he's going to be the head coach, and she's of course really disappointed about this, but also she's freaking out because her and Nathan had a secret kind of relationship their senior year, right before he left, and things just didn't end well. He broke her heart. He went off to pursue a career in becoming a professional baseball player, and she hasn't seen him, hasn't talked to him, and she's just tried to move on, and now he's back in her life, and she has a lot of feelings about this. But I really loved Nathan and Avery's book. I just thought it was so beautiful and like heartbreaking. Just like typical, like Brittany Cherry is a really great writer. No matter what, her books are kind of up and down for me. Like I don't always love her books, so it's definitely a mixed bag, but I love her writing. Her writing is very beautiful. She's very emotional writer, and I just really love the emotions and things that she brings to the table. I feels, and I really connected with the story. I connected with Nathan and Avery, and I loved everything about it. I love the small town, their love of baseball, and this was just a really beautiful romance. I like when the characters have like a secret relationship, but they weren't officially dating. I love that because that can become even more meaningful to you because you never got to be officially with that person. So you're longing and pining for something that you never had. I love it. And it just makes it even more like the stakes are even higher with that kind of romance. Moving on to Promise Me This about Carla Sorensen because I just simply love her. I love her writing. She just writes the most heartwarming books and she has like really great family dynamics in her books. It's just like so warm and cozy and sweet and spicy and emotional, and I love her books, but this one has to be probably one of my favorites, and I say that after every book I read by her. But this one just hit me in all the feels. Ian Harlow's book was absolutely beautiful, especially out of coming off of Head Over Heels, which is very emotional. This was such a great book in the series, and I'm really looking forward to the next Wilder book. But the Wilder family has just made it into one of my favorite families of all time, you guys. I love them. My heart just like aches for them. I love the Wilder family. So anyways, in this book we're following Ian and Harlow. Ian and Harlow are childhood best friends, and they haven't really seen each other in a long time. Nothing really happened, but they were kind of stuck at the hip when they were younger, and they kind of like knew they needed to take some time apart from one another because they're so dependent on one another. A lot has happened. A lot of time has gone by. Harlow is a writer. She's having a little bit of writer's block. And on top of that, she's moving back home to her small town with her daughter so her daughter can be close to family. Now, Harlow is staying with her family and things are not really going well. She has this complicated relationship with her family. And Ian's like, look, I know you're working on your new book. Why don't you come, you and your daughter, stay with me? And Harlow accepts his offer. So Harlow and her daughter move in with Ian so she can write and just focus on writing and just be in a better environment. And Harlow actually one day, her writer's block is kind of broken, and it is because of Ian. And so it's like the first time when she's like feeling something towards Ian, and she's like, wait, like what is this that I'm feeling towards my best friend? She has never felt any kind of romantic anythings for him, and Ian pining over her so bad, but she is scared and he's scared of losing her, and she's scared because she doesn't know if he feels the same way. And so we've got some mutual pining and longing, and it is so good. We've got this slow burn romance that was just achingly beautiful and filled with tension and just beautiful writing. And I really love childhood friends to lovers. There is truly nothing like it, where you just know this person like the back of your hand. There's just such a bond that you have there, and Ian and Harlow have that, and it was just so beautiful to read about. I just love their romance. I love their journey, and I highly recommend this book. 5 stars for me. Chef's kiss all around. I have The Dixon Rule by Elle Kennedy. Let me just say that this series is amazing. I am just loving this new series by her. I think Elle Kennedy writes the best new adult characters. She really understands these characters so well. She writes them so authentically and honestly. Like, you know, sometimes people write about young people and I don't feel like they always represent the characters very well. I just think they sometimes don't act their age, or they do things that I think people their age don't do. And I think Elle Kennedy does such a good job of doing this, accurately writing these characters authentically and honestly. And The Dixon Rule was absolutely fantastic. I love the Graham Effect, but this book was just something else, and the next one is going to be even better. This series is so promising, and I am loving every minute of it. This book is huge, but let me just say that this was amazing. Excellent. Maybe one of my top books of the year. I just loved it that much. So in this book, we're following Diana and Shane. I love these two with all my heart. Diana is a very tough, strong character. She doesn't really like Shane, okay? Shane is best friends with her best friend's now husband, and she doesn't like him. He sleeps around with the girls on her cheerleading team. She just can't stand him. Well, Shane ends up, he moves into the same apartment complex that she lives in, and she's so annoyed by this. Now, Diana has quite a few things going on. She's competing in a competition. She's trying to get ready for that. She's a cheerleader, training for that. And also, she has a boyfriend, an ex-boyfriend, who won't take no for an answer. And her and Shane actually end up kind of helping each other out. So there is like fake dating in this book. They both need each other's help. So Shane, he recently is just getting out of a serious relationship. So to other people, it looks like he's this playboy, but not really. He just got his heart broken. And he's really trying to just kind of process everything that's happened after him and his ex broke up. And he's just kind of living his life being young and getting around. But that's not really what he wants to do. It's not really something that actually is really his personality to do. And so him and Diana, because they're like fake dating, helping each other out, they are spending a lot of time together, and they have a friendship. There's a friendship that blossoms between them. Once Diana really gets to know Shane, she's not who he really is. Like this person this persona that he's kind of putting on, it's not really who he is. And they form this beautiful friendship that turns into this really great romantic connection that they have. And man, there's so much that happens in this story. So domestic violence and assault is something that unfortunately Diana deals with from her ex-boyfriend. It's one of the reasons why her and Shane are dating. Her ex moves into the building and she is scared and she needs Shane to pretend to be her boyfriend. And this storyline was so hard to read, but I felt like it was actually so realistic. This happens a lot to young people, but young women in college, and it is scary. And sometimes you just don't know how to react to it. And Diana's a strong character. Her dad, he works for the FBI. And she is strong and she knows that what happened to her is not right, but she's so embarrassed by it. It's something that a lot of young people and young women feel and go through, and it does escalate and it becomes a very dangerous situation when you're being stalked and abused. And it's absolutely heartbreaking what happens to Diana. And both of these characters go through so much in this book. They're just hit with life. That again, something that young people go through all the time. And this book was just, honestly, felt very real. I laughed. I had so much fun. I loved how Diana felt so comfortable and safe with Shane to explore sexually things that she's never done before. She just felt safe and she was able to let loose and not being so in control. I loved that exploration. And Shane is just such a great character. I really loved him. He is someone who believes in love. His parents are together and they have a very beautiful relationship, and that's all he wants as well. And I just loved him. I love both of them. This is such an epic romance. I just loved it. It was so wonderfully written. It was compelling. It was, sexy. It was just everything that you could want in a well-rounded romance. And it was just so well done. And I cannot wait for the next book in this series. It is going to be amazing, but I highly, highly recommend you check out The Dixon Rule. Okay, I just saw that I had some lipstick on my teeth. I hope that wasn't on my teeth the entire time. That's annoying. This book is Fragile Sanctuary by Catherine Cowles. So this is Catherine Cowles' newest release and the first book in her Sparrow Fall series. Listen, I am so excited for this series. It is amazing. This first book was absolutely amazing. This has amazing found family, the romantic suspense with Chef's Rhodes. Like, I'm so obsessed with these two. In this small town, and he actually works with our heroine Anson's brother, Auction, and he's actually working on Anson's family home, and she's trying to rebuild it. Unfortunately, Anson's life is kind of threatened, and she's put in danger, and Rhodes steps up, and he wants to protect her and be there for her. He just has this pull and drawn to her, and there is a reason why, which you have to read to find out about Rhodes' character and what he's gone through. But both of these characters are so broken and they've gone through so much in their lives. And themes such as grief and loss of a loved one are touched on so heavily in this book. And it's something that both Anson and Rhodes have experienced and they bond over. I love this book. I don't know what else to say. It was just epic. This is her steamiest book yet. The belt scene. I was dying. The chemistry. I mean, this is just, I really love this book. I mean, this was so good. And like I said, the found family, absolutely beautiful, and I cannot wait for the next books in the series because we don't get a lot of information and backstory to explore because they've all gone through some trauma there. So I just can't wait, and their romantic suspense was so well done. I did not guess what happened. I just love this book. It is such a promising first book in the series. I cannot wait for more. I love this book so much. It is so tabbed, well loved for me, and I just cannot recommend this book enough. Please, please read this series if you haven't. It's a great place to start by Katherine Gals. And then we have my favorite book of the month, and I lied. We do have a 6-star book, and that is Savor It by Tara DeWitt. This book was absolutely amazing. I wish I had it physically. I'm waiting for it. It hasn't been shipped to me yet, but this was such a special book, and I knew it was going to be. But Sage and Fisher have just imprinted on my heart. I feel like I haven't really moved on from them. I miss them. I love them dearly. And this book just touched me so deeply. And this is why Tara is one of my favorite authors. Her books are just so, honestly, just like an experience. It is an experience to read Tara's books. Her books just always touch me. Like, I always connect with them, and they're always so beautifully done. But this book in particular, I just found to be so incredibly special. It's the perfect summer read. It is so sweet and spicy, fun, emotional, a little bit angsty. It just has a little bit of everything, and it is just so incredibly special. So Fisher, our main character, Fisher, he has basically experienced a fall from grace. He is a chef, and he's really going through it in his career right now. He's just feeling lost. Things just aren't going well for him. And he gets an opportunity where he has to go to spend some time in Spoons, Oregon. And this is where he meets our heroine, Sage. Now, Fisher is traveling with his niece. Him and his niece his niece has gone through a lot. His family has just experienced an incredible loss, and his niece is really struggling. His sister passed away, and she's struggling with the loss of her mother, and her and Fisher just haven't really been able to connect. And you know, she's a teenager, and he's kind of hoping this will help and bring them closer together, but the road trip to Spoons is not going too well. But basically he meets Sage, and I just love Sage. She is so full of life. She is the epitome of sunshine. She just loves flowers and animals, and she's a teacher. She's just all sunshine. But she's actually gone through quite a bit in her life as well. And because of what she's gone through, she's really learned to savor the good things in life, because anything can happen, and you just want to hold on to the good as much as you can. And that is something that Sage lives by. And so when Fisher meets her, he's so drawn to her. And these two, their connection is just honestly unreal. And it's just, this book is so full of life. It just makes you like want to savor everything in life. I just love this book. I felt like it was so beautifully written, and I loved every second, every minute of this story. It just really touched my heart. Her writing is just pure magic. It is just absolutely beautiful, and I cannot get enough of her writing. Her storytelling was incredible. Sage and Fisher were wonderful as individual characters, and when they came together, it was just honestly like magic. Like these two were just like meant to be together, and that's how I really felt. This was just such a fantastic story. I highly recommend it. It's one that you just can't forget. It's unforgettable. It is such a beautiful experience. If you like Emily Henry in general, you should read Tara DeWitt. It's just such a great book, and I love when the hero is a chef. Yes, Chef Fisher, that man. I love this book. 6 stars for me. Well, I had a great reading month, and I am just so happy that I got to share it and talk about these books with you all. Let me know what you all loved. What did you guys read? Leave me the canoe emoji when you read Savor It. You will understand in the comment section below, so that I can know that you've made it this far. Make sure you're subscribed to me. I'll be back here in June to wrap up my books that I read in June, and also just all the fun things that I have coming up for you all in June as well. But thank you all so much for watching. Really appreciate it, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye.